Okay, so here we go with lesson 24. And lesson 24 is finding the x-intercepts, and we've already done this. That's what most of last chapter was about, or last unit. So the first thing you have to do is you have to set it equal to 0 in order to do this, because the x-intercept means that y is equal to 0. So when I do this, I'm then going to set each set of parentheses equal to 0, and I get x equals 5, and then I get 3x equals negative 2, x equals negative 2 over 3. Now I'm going to wait on doing 14 and 15. Actually, let's have you do 14 and 15. Okay, so the answers to 14 and 15 are here. How did you do? Okay, so now we'll do 16. Now, I like 16 because I don't have to do any factoring. I'm just going to be taking the square root. It's called the square root method. So I'm going to add 50 to the other side. I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. It's a little more work than the part above, but that's okay. I take the square root of both sides of the equal sign. So I'm going to take the square root here and the square root here. And when I do that, I don't just get the positive 5, but I also get the negative 5. So I'm going to write plus or minus 5 equals x minus 3. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Positive 5 plus 3 is 8. Negative 5 plus 3, negative 2, is equal to x. Now, I want you to go ahead and do the other two problems. Okay, let's see if we can get this sheet of paper here so you can see it. Now, you may have noticed that you would have gotten a square root of 40 on this one. You just split it up. 4 times 10, square root of 4 is 2. Add 1 to both sides of the equal sign, and voila, that's all the further you do. Make sure that you put the real number first. I shouldn't say the real number, but the rational number first and the irrational number second. And last, but certainly not least, on this one, you would do this. And if you go to do this problem, I would complete the square. Sorry. And it's the same thing we would have done a moment ago. And you would have gotten negative 2 equals to x plus 1 all squared plus 2. Oh, nope, I just got rid of that. Negative 1. Uh-oh. You can't take the square root of a negative. So that means no x-intercepts. Okay. So the last two, doing the same thing we just did on the last lesson, and those are your answers. Okay, page 677. It's wanting you to find the vertex point. So in order to do that, if I multiply these two together, I'm going to end up getting 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. Now, this one's going to be a little rough. Negative b over 2a is equal to x. That's how we find the axis of symmetry. So x is going to equal negative, well, that'll be positive 13 over 2 times 3. Oh, that's going to be nasty. It's 13 over 6. Oh, and when we plug that back in, we're going to, I don't know, let's do this one. 3 times 13 over 6 squared minus 13 over 6 minus 10. Ooh, that's ugly. But we are finding great numbers with your fractions. 169 over 6 minus 116. Ooh, did you see me do that? That's 36. 169 over 6 minus 10. So 3 goes into 36 12 times. So we need a common denominator of 12. Well, that means I need a calculator. So let me get one of those. So 169 over 12. 169 times 2 will get me minus 338 over 12 minus 120 over 12. So I take 169, I subtract 338, I subtract 120, and I should get y equals negative 289 over is that right? It's supposed to be I did a boo-boo. Over 12. So I get, no I didn't, negative 289 over 12. Awesome possum. So do the next two. And again, they're nasty. And you would have gotten these answers. Now, the next ones right here are super simple. They're already in vertex form. So it would be 3, negative 50, negative 4, 12, and subtract the 10 over, and you would get 1, negative 10. These down here, they're just like the ones we did up above, except for this time you don't have to multiply out. So do those, and you should have gotten this as your answer for the first two. And the last one, you should have gotten this. Notice how I did negative at first. Should be positive.